But why was there such a heavy feeling in this room? Why did this 8-year-old child have the type of aura I had only ever felt in the presence of the King of Sapin himself? No, that wasn't right. The atmosphere in this room was even heavier than what I had experienced when I was with the King. The revelation that Arthur's bond was actually a dragon made me wonder what that boy really was.
Do not make him your enemy, Cynthia. If treated with trust and respect, he will become the greatest ally. But if betrayed, he may be the cause of his continent's demise.
Whoa, Jack, don't you come back, no.
Met her on the way to Chicago, where she was all alone. So was I, so asked her for her name. She smiled and looked at me. I was surprised to see that a woman like that was real into me.
を手に入れたのは酔っ払い相手に歌を聴かせるためなのかよ。えへってなんだよ。
Think I need someone over, just a little bit colder. Take the weight off your shoulder.
I love you too, idiot. But we're at war. We both have responsibilities and people that need us. I know, and I have things I want to tell you, so how about we make a promise? I promise to stay alive so that we can have a future together, a relationship, a family. I promise.
Wish we could turn back time to the good old days when the mama sang us to sleep, but now we're stressed out. Wish we could turn back time.
Remember, protect your family and the stone. Study what I have left you and enjoy this life, King Gray.
Pretend to be everything you are not. Teacher, husband, father. But there is one unavoidable truth you will never escape. You cannot change. You will always be a monster.
I hope you find some peace above in this lifetime. Tell them the truth. I hope you find some peace above. Tell them again. I've been going through something. 1,855 days. I've been going through something. Be afraid. Welcome to the room of people who have rooms of people that they love one day docked away. Just because we check the guns at the door doesn't mean our brains will change for hand grenades. You love another psychopath sitting next to you. You love another murderer sitting next to you. You think I'd get it sitting next to you. But after all I've said, please don't forget.
Can you go away? Let me open the head. You let us free. It's a bright new sorrow. Come be the first on your block to meet his eye. Make way, here he comes. Right off in the gun. You're gonna love this guy.
Once the great King Gray, powerful warrior, fallen to his death, but reborn as Arthur Leywin, a child with magical abilities. He has been given a second chance at life.
Thank you so much to me. I'm losing touch, get me.
I attempted the reincarnation on Gray first, that's true, but his soul never arrived in the chosen vessel. A simple miscalculation, I thought.
But the force of Agrona's dark claw was inexorable. I might as well have tried to stop the sun from setting, but I would. For him, I will stop the world from spinning if I have to.
I was more than hands and feet. I had a name. I was Grey, King Grey. But I was also General Arthur Leywick, the Lance, son of Alice and Reynolds. Names spun in my mind. Names like Ellie, Hessia, Miriam, Sylvie. You know, I never had any memories of family in my old world. Growing up in an environment where no one truly loved me, and in turn being callous and distant to everyone, made me an unrivaled fighter, but a crappy person. Ever since I came to this world, the two of you, my parents, and later Ellie, taught me something I'd never known. I may not be the strongest fighter or mage in this world, but I'm a hell of a lot better person now than I ever would have been in my previous life. Sorry for the hurt I caused you. Thank you for making me a better man, and thank you for loving me as your son. Without turning to face my father, away, the muffled sobs of my father behind me. That was when it struck me. This role that I had accepted for the sake of Dicathan had been slowly turning me back into the man I was in my old world.
Why? I don't... Why? I can't... Why are you still fighting? I have... What? I have... Speak up! I need to be the hero for them that you and I never had. That's not fair.
Arthur! Sylvie shouted, urging me to do something, anything. I cursed under my breath, but I made up my mind. I used static void, stopping time for only myself. As I sprinted toward him, I examined this enemy. Then I realized, and my concentration wavered, and static void shattered. He seemed momentarily surprised by my sudden appearance, but it passed in an instant, replaced by an arrogant smirk. His arms lowered as my old friend, Elijah, greeted me. Long time no see, my dear old friend, Grey. My breath caught in my lungs, and I stumbled to a halt. Elijah, who had been taken by Draniv during the invasion at Xyrus Academy, was alive and standing in front of me. Elijah, what's going on? How are you? My voice trailed off as our eyes met. This was definitely Elijah, but everything about him seemed just a little off. His hair, his skin, even his age seemed slightly wrong. Elijah walked towards me. Who are you? I asked, thinking about his first words to me. Elijah sneered. You're smarter than that. I guess the years of living comfortably in this world have made you soft. The sound of crashing thunder resounded through the streets from the impact of my blow, and Elijah's body was buried into the ground. You're not Elijah, so I'm going to ask this one more time. Who the hell are you? Elijah stood back up from the hole his body had created in the ground. Black smoke was rising from Elijah's wounds, healing him. Of course he has regenerative abilities, I thought, grimacing at the pain radiating from my fractured knuckles. My frustration grew as scores of Electrian soldiers came rushing towards us from both sides. If things progressed like this, I'd have to fight hundreds of soldiers as well as Elijah. I landed in a forward run, frost accumulating around my arm as I closed in on my opponent. You're no match for me in this world, Grey, Elijah snarled as he jumped backwards and conjured a thin layer of poison gas around him. Elijah's eyes widened in shock as I held out a hand. Ether converged around the stub of his right arm, where his hellfire was currently regenerating the lost limb. Under my influence, the black fire turned purple, and rather than heal him, it began to eat away at his flesh. Not a match, you say? I mocked, my voice ethereal to my own ears. My vision was tinged a shade of lavender as ether gathered around me. The motes of purple danced as if celebrating my ascension to the throne. I truly felt like a deity, like an asura. Aether heeded my call, molding around the blade of wind that I had shot at Elijah. Elijah, realizing that his defenses were useless, barely managed to throw himself out of the way, but not in time to get out unscathed. Elijah bit his lower lip harder, stifling a scream. He wasn't broken, though. I had to give him that. My old friend spit out a mouthful of blood and scoffed at me. I knew you'd show your true face. Whatever name and appearance you take on, you'll always be the same gray. My eyes narrowed, but the cool blanket of apathy diffused the loathing carried by his words. Goodbye, I said softly, raising a hand to finish the job. Arthur, dodge! Sylvie's voice suddenly screamed in my head. Black flame barely grazed my left foot, but the difference in power was evident. The intensity and speed of the conjuration was on a different level from Elijah's black flames. I shifted my gaze to my right. A slow, hungry smile spread across my face.
It was the same scythe that had attacked the castle, and also the killer of Grandma Sylvia, Sylvie's mother.
The scythe arrived beside Elijah, his face a mask of poised indifference. He laid a hand on the purple flame, eating away at where Elijah's arm used to be, and it was replaced by a smoldering black flame that began slowly but visibly regenerating Elijah's arm. Adamastera, help Tess and get her here, I ordered. My lightning-clad fists shredded through the layers of black spikes, but I kept my senses clear in case Elijah or the scythe approached. Just keep going!
Sylvie sent with whatever was left of her sanity.
I could feel the ground shake with every explosion of black flame and pure mana as my bond faced the scythe, but I continued to push forth until I could see the faint glow of the teleportation gate. Almost there. Hurry! Through the portal! I roared as the three of them ran past me. Tess turned back, facing me as she ran backwards towards the portal. What about you? I have my own medallion. I'll meet you back at the shelter with Sylvie. Now go! Gray! You can't do this to me! Not again! Elijah shouted from above, diving desperately toward the portal. Not after what you did to me and Cecilia! Elijah's words struck me like thunder, and I almost let him get to the portal. With ether under my command, I was able to close the distance just as he was about to fire a black spear at the gate. Wounded and tired, Elijah wasn't a match for me while I was in this state. I wrapped my ether-strengthened hand around his throat, threatening to crush his windpipe. How do you know that name? I growled. Looks like you're finally sober, he wheezed. If you weren't under the influence of that power that's killing you right now, you might have already figured it out. I squeezed harder, making him gag, then loosening my grip. Who are you? Elijah spat on my face and smiled, revealing his blood-stained teeth. I was your best friend, and you killed my fiancée right in front of me. My grip loosened, my head swam, and my entire body felt like it was submerged in tar. My heart seemed to have forgotten its rhythm. My throat tightened as if I were the one with the fist crushing my windpipe. It couldn't be, could it? Nico? The hand currently wrapped around his throat trembled uncontrollably. I squeezed harder. I didn't want him to talk. I wanted to deny everything. I couldn't bear whatever it was that he was about to say. Art, watch out! Tess's scream jolted me out of my thoughts, but I couldn't fully dodge the black spike that Elijah had launched from the ground. Focus on the gate, I roared. What did the Corona do to you, Elijah? Did he make you say all of this? Elijah's head snapped back to me, and his voice dripped with venom when he spoke again. Do you think even a grown-up would know how you and I used to steal and sell whatever we scrounged to the pawn shop, and that we'd use the earnings to keep our orphanage funded without Wilbeck knowing? That doesn't mean, do you think a grown-up knows that deep down you had feelings for Cecilia? I stiffened, and a spinning world suddenly came back into focus. Elijah smirked. His eyes remained cold. Cecilia liked you for a time as well. Did you know that? But she gave up on you because you kept your distance emotionally after you found out that I had feelings for her. Stop. And even when I told you everything I had uncovered about Lady Vera, you turned your back on your best friend for that bitch. And as if that wasn't enough, you killed her. You killed Cecilia in front of me. Stop, Nico, I cried, unable to help the tears rolling down my cheeks. Sustaining the barrier, I looked back over my shoulder, snapping impatiently at Tess. He's trying to destroy the gate. Hurry up and activate it and escape. It's almost done. What about you and Sylvie? Just go, please. No, Nico shouted. He withdrew his concentrated beam and burst forward to try and get past me. I pivoted and launched myself into him, tackling Nico to the ground and pinning him. Let go, he roared as he flailed, trying to escape my grasp. He looked me in the eyes and said, you owe me, Gray. You owe me for killing Cecilia. So that's what it is. Cecilia died, so you have to have Tess to make it even, I said, disbelieving.
Suddenly, there was an explosion behind me. I turned around, just to see everyone on the ground. Madame Estera was missing a leg, and Nymphis was heavily injured, while Tessia was trying to stop the bleeding. To make matters worse, the gate was destroyed, and there wasn't another one nearby.
I let the anger fester inside me in order to mitigate some of the pain coursing through my body. Once more, I desperately tried to move the ether, but the motes of purple wouldn't budge. The pain grew stronger with each attempt, and I could feel my body deteriorating. It wasn't fair. No matter how much stronger I became, I always just barely lacked the power to win. Damn it. Just then, as everyone's eyes were on me, I felt hot liquid pour down my nose, spilling on my hand. Hot, your nose. Tess gently touched my shoulder from beside me. Worried, I hurriedly wiped at the blood running down my nose and lips and looked back up to see Cadell's lips curved into a smirk. Your body is breaking down, isn't it, Lance? What? Is that true? How bad is it? He's dying, Nico said grimly. I'll be okay, I lied, shrugging her away. I couldn't even look her in the eye. Instead, I kept my eyes focused on the opponents ahead. Sylvie, don't try and stop me, I muttered, wrapping my degrading body in mana in preparation for one last battle. Would you stop even if I tried? My bond asked solemnly. She took a step to the side as a golden white aura flared to life around her. If you're so bent on killing yourself, we'll go together. Elf princess, if your dearly beloved stays in that form any longer, whether he wins or loses this battle, he'll die. Leave leave her out of this, I shouted. But by the time I turned around, Tess had already shrugged off Nivea. Tess didn't speak to me, though. Instead, she gripped Sylvie's wrist and asked her, "He's lying, right? Tell me he's lying, Sylvie." Sylvie looked at me, but didn't respond. "I'll be fine, Tess." I lied again. My words were met with an angry, tear-filled glare. "You always do this. You're always ready to give up your life to save me. Tess, do you think I'd be grateful if you died to save me?" she asked, her lips quivering. "You idiot," she whispered, with her lips pressed against mine. She tore herself away from me and walked off toward Nico and the scythe. "No!" I stepped forward, ready to sprint after her, but Sylvie held me back, wrapping her arms around my waist. "Sylvie, no, you can't do this to me. Arthur, please," she begged, her small body trembling. "I don't want you to die." I watched helplessly as Tess walked away, the sound of blood pounding in my head, muting everything else. I couldn't even hear my own shouts as I begged Tess to stop, to let me fight, to let me die. I watched as Tess turned back and smiled at me before saying something. I couldn't hear it, though. Those may have been Tess's last words, and I couldn't hear them. No, I couldn't let that happen. I felt my insides churn, but I didn't know what to do. The memory of Renia drawing the etheric runes on the gate resurfaced, and the hours I spent in that ancient cave watching Sylvie meditate while influencing the ether around her, connected together instinctively in a way that my mind couldn't fathom, but my body could. Sylvie sensed the change in the air as I got to work. "Arthur, what are you doing?" "I'm sorry," I whispered, my mouth filled with a taste of metal as I dispersed the gathered ether. I reached out with my arms, one pointed at Nivea and Madame Astera, the other at Tess, and suddenly we were in a separate space. This was different from static void, where I was in the same space as the rest of the world. No, I had created a separate pocket dimension and brought everyone along with me. With no time to waste, I threw the medallion that had the coordinates engraved in it. What manifested from it was a teleportation portal of my own. "Into the portal, now!" I shouted as I struggled to keep it stable. I restructured the size of the pocket dimension, bringing Tess instantly closer to Madame Astera and the portal. Without even the chance to get a word out, Tess was through the portal. Madame Astera looked at me for a second before jumping through the portal herself. "Sylvie, it's time to go," I said, but my bond just looked at me in horror. She reached up and wiped away the tears streaming down my face, but her hand came away red with blood. My blood. "Arthur, you're not going to make it," Sylvie said, and I felt her consciousness go deeper into mine. I couldn't shield my thoughts from her in my current state. My mind was an open book. "The portal isn't going to stay stable for much longer, Sylvie. Please, can't have you die too." Disoriented, I tried to force Sylvie into the portal, but I couldn't manipulate her the way I had done to Tess. "Sylvie, what are you—" My eyes widened in horror as I realized what she was doing. "I have to keep yourself alive while I'm gone, okay?" Sylvie said, giving me a toothy grin. "Sylvie, no, don't do this!" I screamed. Desperate, I tried to push her to the portal, but my hands went right through her. Sylvie's body had become ethereal, and she was fading as motes of lavender and gold began drifting away from her diminished form and attaching themselves to my body. I writhed in unimaginable pain at the sudden change my body was going through, but I held on, unable to pass out. My vision faded as I screamed out to Sylvie, and she pushed me through the portal with the last remaining corporeal limb she had left. Last words engraved into my mind as darkness overcame me. "Until we meet again." No, no. Please don't tell me I'm reincarnating again. King Grey, Arthur Leywin, Ascender Grey. His name no longer matters because he no longer matters. I suspect he survived because my daughter somehow sacrificed herself using the ether arts of her dragon mother, which serves me well. Sylvie was always the greater danger than your little quadra-elemental friend.
Sylvie, Tessia, where am I? Name's Grey.
Hey, boogie, oogie, bam, bam. Let's go party, body, boom, boom. Hey, boogie, oogie, bam.
pull the lid. I won't wait long this time.
I had lost Sylvie, even though I was supposed to protect her, even though she had been entrusted to me as an egg so that I could keep her safe from the Vitra. I had lost her trying to save everyone else. Sorry. I'm so sorry, Sylvie.
Come now, voices in my head screaming run now. I'm praying that they hear me. Jesus, sin and shining my hardest. My head's a mess, but I'm trying to goddess.
It took 3 betrayals for me to finally understand. The world is just an elaborate tapestry of lies. The first to betray me was a god, my creator, my mother. The second was a human, my family, my friend. The third was one exactly like me, a hope for the future, a fledgling barely out of the nest. Humans, they can't be trusted, and the gods fill me with pure loathing. So I said good riddance. I denounce the world and laugh in its face. My chest will never again be defiled by worldly filth. I will scrub away every last trace of human emotion.
The world has tried to forget my existence. Time to remind them of why they fear.
From 9 to 5, hell, I pay the price. All I want is to be left alone in my average home. With why do I always feel like I'm in the twilight zone? I always feel like somebody's watching me.
Show me Ellen why.
My eyes flew open, all 3 of them, as my mind went back to the moments before I finished casting World Eater, when I felt an alien presence watching me, almost as if some greater deity, a true god, had arrived to witness my lowest moment and judge me by it. I hadn't known who it could have been at the time, but now, Arthur Lewin.
Ashley! Look at me!
And
and staring right at me, seated on a throne which burned with a shimmering white fire, was a man who appeared to be no older than 20. Who would you be without me, Prime? Time to find out.
At this moment, I have achieved something that not even the oldest of the Indrath clan achieved. An ether core.
Our greatest minds theorized that if one could understand these 4 edicts of ether, then perhaps they could also gain insight into fate itself. It was a distant, desperate hope. But now that I have met you, Arthur Leywin, I believe it may actually happen.
You have the ability to manipulate, and you obtained both the dragon's will and the realm-heart physique. But you're still just human.
I've taken godhood to a new level, and divinity made perfect.
Clad in black scale armor, with onyx horns like a Vritra's curving out from his head, he might have been a deity himself.
It's in our blood, no escape. Can't outrun, no.
It had seemed a near impossibility when Grey had defeated not one, but 2 scythes, before immediately escaping the High Sovereign himself, but to slay 5 half-Vritra wraiths.
Whoa, I was born for greatness. Oh.
I couldn't let the wraiths retreat. Not even one. They all had to die. Grinning and burning, I laughed. A single, long, mirthful, insane laugh as the last of the wraiths, Agronis' supposed Asura killers, fell before me.
Please don't kill me. I beg you to forgive me for everything, but please don't kill me. Please, Lance, don't kill me.
Deuce.
Completely absorbed in each other, their worlds reduced to nothingness a few meters around them in all directions, a cold, distant part of me from my mind. The piece of gray I'd resurrected to survive Alakria recognized the opportunity. With one swift stroke of my ether blade, I could end the threat posed by Cecilia and Nico. After all, I hadn't discovered a flaw in Magic Cecilia, and fighting her hadn't helped me understand how to separate Cecilia and Tessia. Tessia was a warrior who didn't hesitate to risk her life on the battlefield. She was ready to die fighting in the beast dungeons in the Elenoir forest in the city streets against Nico and Cadell. She'd understand, she'd forgive me. The god step enveloped me, and I appeared next to Tessia to execute it.
Wait. Something's different. This isn't the same noble hero I fought before. No, you've changed. What have you done?
Oh no! Oh no!
One of those orphans did not fall into the hands of those deities. The one who in his world was known as King Grey, who was only filled with a thirst for revenge, now in this world known as Arthur Lewin, self-proclaimed as God-Killer, recognized as a true deity, is going to put an end to this entire war of gods.